Go for it.
So I'm going to read two short passages from my novel, Onward, Toward What We're Going Toward. I'm going to give you a little lay of the land here. The novel stretches 50 years and it deals with two brothers, the Waldwieser brothers in central Illinois. And it's Chick Waldwieser and Buddy Waldwieser, and Chick and his wife, Diane Waldwieser. They lose their son, their 10-year-old son. He drowns in a pond outside of town. And Buddy and his wife, Legie, who's an Indian American, they open a health food store in 1970 in small town Illinois. So this part is Chick Waldwieser, October 18th, 1971. I should also mention, this deals a little bit with haiku, so it's for Andrew. While Diane had her dolls and now bowling, Chick still had nothing. His desire to connect with someone, something, was so great that it felt like a blender was whirling inside of him, constantly churning, churning, churning. He needed to find it, whatever it was. Maybe it was books, or yogurt. Maybe a yogurt book, or whatever it had been that had done the trick for his brother Buddy. He should pay him a visit. Maybe he could recommend something. He was his big brother after all, and wasn't a big brother supposed to help the younger brother? Wasn't that how it worked? Chick got as far as staying on the sidewalk in front of the health food store when he glimpsed Russ standing by the counter. He was 10 now, pretty much the same age as Lomax had been when he drowned. Chick froze. He couldn't breathe. His heart was doing a crazy dance, pitter-pat, glug, glug, beat, beat. His mind flashed back to the time he took Lomax to the high school gymnasium for Little League tryouts. Lomax had brought along his briefcase and spent the morning sitting in the bleachers shuffling papers. When it was his turn to take some grounders, he stood under the basketball hoop, his legs crossed at the ankle, the glove hanging limply at his side. The coach could tell Lomax wasn't a baseball player, so he rolled the ball at him instead of smacking it with the fungo bat. Lomax didn't even try to make a play on the ball. He simply watched it bounce off the wall behind him. Chick wanted to go turtle, put his head into a shell, while the other fathers turned the death eye on him as if he'd raised some kind of oddball. And it was true. His son was different. Chick knew it. Diane knew it. Anyone who spent 3 minutes with the boy knew it. Maybe that was the problem. Maybe if he had pushed Lomax to hang out with the boys in the neighborhood, he wouldn't have gone off to Kennel Lake on some lake diving, mud gathering, science study thing. He'd be in college now, maybe down at the University of Illinois. And there wouldn't be a room full of goddamn dolls at home, and his wife wouldn't be dragging him to a Wednesday night bowling league, which, by the way, he hated. He was terrible at bowling. They were both terrible at it, and he knew the other bowlers were laughing at them, just like the fathers had laughed at him that afternoon at Little League tryouts. He should have forced Lomax to become a normal, red-blooded American boy. Now, the worst thing, the absolute worst thing, the knife twisting in his goddamn stomach, was that his brother was raising a son who played baseball. A real son, a normal son, an alive son. Chick couldn't go inside the store. He couldn't make small talk with Russ, ask him about Little League and school. No way. He certainly didn't want to ask his brother for advice. He wanted to be alone. Alone with this heavy rock sitting on his chest. Alone with his thoughts, his memory, his disappointment in himself as a father. He'd find his own book. There was a can of beer under the seat, stashed there for occasions when he needed something to loosen the strings. Chick cracked the beer. It was warm, but he guzzled it anyway. A little bit dribbled out the corner of his mouth. There was another one in the glove box, and 3 more in the spare tire well in the trunk. He pounded them all and crushed the cans and hid them under the seat. He wiped his mouth. He felt woozy. The feelings of disappointment subsided a bit. The beer always helped. He drove to the library. At the library, he walked toward the card catalog, stumbling a few times along the way. He was trying not to appear drunk, but he was too buzzed to pretend. He thumbed through the cards quickly. He wasn't really sure where to start or what type of book he was looking for. He flipped through the cards in the tea drawer: Taproot, Tarrytown, Tennessee. He was looking for temple. His body was a temple. For some reason, that phrase stuck in his mind. He felt a tap on his shoulder. He turned around, but no one was there. Then he noticed a girl looking up at him, a tiny girl with straight dark hair and the feet the size of dinner rolls. "Have you been drinking, sir?" Of course he'd been drinking. In fact, if there were any beer left, he'd be out in the car right now still drinking. But there was no beer left, and besides, he was looking for something different, a book or something. This is what he wanted to tell her. He wanted to tell her other things, too. The baseball tryouts, Lomax, the death, his brother, Russ, Legie, dolls, bowling, everything. She could pull up a chair, and they could have a conversation. He tried to talk, opening and closing his mouth like a fish, but the beer had stolen his voice. We don't allow intoxicated people in the library. Chick looked around for something to write on. He had to tell her how he was feeling. He had to tell someone. His feelings wanted out. On the table were small little squares of paper. I said you can't be here. You're drunk. I smell it. Chick picked up a square of paper and wrote, "My life is nothing but a large hole in the ground I can't get out of." He handed the paper to the girl. She read it. It had a rhythm. And although it didn't have the right number of syllables, it was pretty close to a haiku. "Are you a poet?" she asked. Chick had never been asked that question before. Chick Waldbeezer, a poet? Was she saying that he'd just written a poem? Maybe this was it. Poetry. He'd be a poet. And poetry, words, would chisel him out of this icy sadness. The girl, whose name was Lucy Snell, had a thing for poets. She herself was trying to be one, and her boyfriend was trying to be one too. They spent their Friday nights at One World Coffee in Peoria near the Bradley campus, reading poems and hawking a poetry journal the two of them edited. She led Chick to the back of the library. It was quieter here, out of sight from the other patrons. The shelves reached the ceiling and were packed tight with books. She carefully picked out 8 titles for him. These 2 are good, and so is this one. Everyone needs to read Shakespeare's sonnets. Ginsberg's Howl is a must. You can only take 8 out at a time, she said. You'll have to come back for more. Oh, here's a good one. Emily Dickinson. I love Emily Dickinson. Suddenly, not paying attention to the titles or authors, Chick started grabbing books off the shelves and handed them to Lucy. The stack of books grew precariously tall in her hands, higher than her head, and she needed to peek around to see him. You can only take out 8, she said. I have nothing, he said, and I need something. This might be it. Maybe it was his admission that he had nothing, and Lucy Snell's belief that poetry was the injection of something. Maybe it was because no one ever came into Middleville Public Library looking for poetry. Maybe it was the throw me a rope look in his eyes, whatever it was. Lucy made an exception and let Chick check out 47 books of poetry. It took him 4 trips to carry them all to the car. He slid into the driver's seat and picked up the first book, John Berryman's 77 Dream Songs. He looked at the cover. He smelled the book. It smelled like it hadn't been opened in years. He liked the title, though. He could use a dream song. That's really what he needed right now. Dreams. Some sleep. The beer had run its course. He reclined the seat and set the book aside. His eyes felt like they were being cranked shut. He closed them. Everything went black. One by one, people left the library. The sun set. The streetlights came on. Lucy Snell locked the front door and went through her closing routine. When she was done, she went outside and locked her 10-speed bicycle from the bike rack and hopped on. She noticed a lone car in the far corner of the parking lot under a street lamp. She rode over to the car and saw Chick asleep in the driver's seat. Leaves blew around the parking lot. It was starting to get chilly. She circled around and came up to the driver's side door and knocked on the window. Chick startled awake and saw Lucy looking at him. Are you all right? She asked. He rolled down the window. I'm fine. I have all these. He motioned to the pile of books in the seat next to him. My eyes just got heavy and I just closed them for a second. I like those words you wrote, she said. Chick cocked his head in confusion. In the library, she said. Oh, yeah, right. He took the scratched piece of paper out of his pocket and handed it to her. You can have it. It's yours. If you put a line break here after nothing and another one after ground, it's a haiku, or close to one. A haiku, he said. Take a look at that book there, Basho. He said haiku is what's happening in this place at this time. Chick thought about that. He felt like so much was happening in this place at this time. I publish a poetry chat book with local poets. Mostly it's just me and my boyfriend's poems, but we're always on the lookout for other work. Maybe, if you don't mind, we could publish your haiku. This? He held up the scrap of paper. Yeah, if you want us to. Other people are going to want to read this. Well, yeah, a few other people. My boyfriend and his sister, and me. Maybe a few students at Bradley. Take it. He held the poem out to her. Do whatever you want with it. Let me just a second. She got out a notebook from her backpack and copied down the poem. Do you really think that's a poem is any good? It's heartfelt, confessional. I like that kind of stuff. Hey, I need a bio for the chat book. What do you want me to say about you? A terrible father. Put that. Chick Waldbeezer was a terrible father. Really? I don't know. Who knows anymore? She put her notebook away. Come back in a few weeks and I'll give you a copy of the chapbook. In the rearview mirror, Chick watched Lucy ride across the parking lot. He reread his haiku. My life is nothing but a large hole in the ground I can't get out of. Here's the second part. This is Diane and Chick Waldbeezer, October 1971 to July 1972. A poet. This changed things, and Chick began to change. First, he started dressing the part, wearing a brown corduroy blazer over a black turtleneck. He found a black beret at the hat store in Peoria. He wore Argyle socks, and he grew a little sliver of hair under his lip. A French beard, he called it. He also started carrying a notebook in which he jotted down ideas or lines or simply words he wanted to use in his poems. He would sit on the couch in the living room with his legs crossed, wearing his blazer and beret, his notebook out at the ready as he listened to Diane in the kitchen doing the dishes or mopping the linoleum floor. My wife cleans and cleans, but she is sad about her life. He began working on a book, or as Lucy Snell called it, a chapbook. He spent hours at the kitchen table taking his ideas from his notebook and typing them to what he called haikuetry. He thought that the people who would read to Diane, Leegee, his brother, poetry was his purpose. Like Diane's father had said that night at dinner. Chick had thought being a brother was his purpose. Then he thought fatherhood was. But now it was clear to him. Poetry was his purpose. One afternoon at the library, Lucy Snell gave him a copy of the chapbook with his published poem inside. He read the poem 3 times. Reading it made him feel whole, complete, accomplished. He was no longer a cannery worker. He was a poet. When he got home, he read his poem to Diane. He wasn't sure if she was listening to him. The radio was on. He started to read it again. Shh, she said. I heard it the first time. It's nice, Chick. I'm listening to the radio. He told her he'd leave the chapbook for her so she could read it later. A couple of days later, he found the chapbook in the pile of newspapers for him to carry out to the trash. He was livid. He wanted to march upstairs and tell her that she was not ever to throw away his chapbook. Never, 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 never. He opened up the book just to make sure his poem was still safe. Next to the poem, Diane had written a note. Chick, you're not a terrible father, and your hole is not as large as you think. You need to quit feeling sorry for yourself. Remember, we're bowling tonight at 8. Over the next several months, as fall became winter and 1971 became 1972, Chick read every single book of poetry at the Middleville Public Library and ordered the ones Lucy recommended from the library in Peoria. Without a doubt, his favorite poems were Bashow's haikus. He also liked poems by the Beats. He hated Shakespeare's sonnets. Too much structure. A poem, Chick had decided, should be sharp and refreshing like a pull of beer from a cold can. Whenever he read a good poem, he felt he needed to laugh. Sometimes when he was reading in bed and Diane was sleeping, he'd start laughing. He laughed sometimes at the grocery store while thinking about certain poems, or at work or at the bowling alley. People would ask him what was so funny, and he'd say, everything. What you're doing right now, that's funny if you think about it. He was so grateful to Lucy Snell. Whenever he went to the library, he grabbed her hand and thanked her. She blushed and told him she was glad that she could share such a wonderful thing with him. He told her about his chapbook. It was going to be called Onward Toward What We're Going Toward. Lucy told him that she couldn't wait to read it. When Chick finished the chapbook, there were 27 poems in it. He dedicated it to Lomax. He typed up 8 copies and took it to Stafford's, the grocery store, where he fashioned a stand out of a clothes hanger and propped it next to the magazines at the checkout. The cashier, a high school girl with a ponytail and braces, watched him. What one? Chick asked. What is it? She asked, taking a copy from the makeshift stand. What I like to call haikuetry. Haiku and poetry. Isn't haiku poetry? Well, I don't always follow the haiku pattern. Wouldn't that just be poetry? The cashier then read the last poem out loud. Chick Waldbeezer, Onward Toward What We're Going Toward. Who's Chick Waldbeezer? Me. Well, where are you going? I'm going toward what we're all going toward. But I don't know where we're going. She flipped through the chapbook, counting the syllables in the poems. Aren't haikus 5, 7, 5? I said I don't always follow the pattern. Chick searched about that. Haiku is what is happening in this place at this time, and frankly, that can't always be contained in some stupid pattern. Do you know Lucy Snell? The cashier stared at him. The librarian up at the library. She shook her head no. She published one of these, and she and her boyfriend's sister all read it, and they liked it. Do you know who I am? Chick Waldbeezer, you just told me your name. I'm a poet. Look at me. Look how I'm dressed. You're wearing a beret. Take this. Read it, Chick said. Give me $1. Why? For the chapbook. I don't really want it. Forget it. Don't give me $1. Just keep it. You should read more poetry. It's good for you. Onward toward what we're going toward. What does that mean exactly? It means, how old are you? 18, she said. He placed his hand on hers, but she quickly pulled it away. Are you getting fresh with me, she said. He said, right now, at this moment, things are happening that you don't have any control over. There are cells in your body dividing and dying and being born. Right now, that's happening. Sometimes in the morning, my urine is a very dark yellow. Do you think that's bad? I think that's bad. Maybe that means I'm going to die. At some point, I am going to die, and so are you, and that's scary as hell. But that's the easy part. You will do things that you're not proud of. Embarrassing things, hurtful things. People will not like you. If you're lucky, someone will love you. You will disappoint that person. The same person who loves you may someday hate you, and there's not one thing you can do about it, but you'll try, and you'll keep trying. All of this you probably already know. But here's the hard part. This is the part the poems are about. You won't be able to stop any of it. None of it. It has a momentum, this life. Onward toward what we're going toward.